Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet. And we look forward to seeing everybody at Mile High this year. If you are listening or watching this podcast, we encourage you strongly to hit subscribe because we never want you to miss a podcast. And join us at Mile High, August 15th to 18th, 2019. You can learn more about it at www.riseuptomilehigh.com. And you'll find all the information about the event. We already have a record number of attendees, and we are so thrilled to have so many people rising up to a mile high altitude. And on this episode, we're going to be catching up with one of our speakers who I am so thrilled to have on our episode. I'm actually so thrilled to have him at Mile High, and I just thrilled to get to speak to him because he's just an incredible chiropractor and lover of life. He's the co-founder of Halsa Care Group, which is his chiropractic clinics in the UK. And he has 8 offices, and he's the founder also of DC Practice Growth, dcpracticegrowth.com. He has his Inner Circle group, which does incredible help with people growing their practices and impacting more lives. In 2018 alone, his offices produced over 10,000 new patient office visits for just his clinics, let alone all the doctors that he's helped. So he's impacting a massive number of lives through his energy, and we are so grateful that he'll be joining us at Mile High. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Ryan Rieder.
Dr. Dan, thank you so much for that incredible introduction. It's really, I'm so excited to be coming down to your beautiful, beautiful city and going to be sharing the stage there. And it's just really an honor. I know you came out to Windsor recently. We spent some time together. And ever since, Mile High was not like, it was right up there. I really wanted to get on the speakers list there. So it's just an honor to be sharing that room because I know you do such great things there. And really from the word that comes to mind is just the heart of it all feels so good. So I'm excited to be coming down and spending some time with you guys.
Well, we're thrilled to have you, and we're psyched because we know the information, the content, and the energy that you'll bring to people is going to be phenomenal live. They're just going to get a little taste of it on the podcast because I know what you're like live. So, but this is going to be great information because, and I got to tell you, if you're listening to this podcast, I listen to Dr. Ryan's videos and master classes and such, and I take notes. So I want to tell you, if you're driving, don't start typing on your phone. Like, don't cause any subluxations. You may want to pull over and take notes when you're listening to Ryan Rieder. I'm telling you that ahead of time, okay? It's a safety for the road lesson, all right? So, Dr. Ryan, first of all, let's help people get to know you. Like, you got to 8 chiropractic offices, but you're not originally from the UK. How did you storm, chiropractic in the UK and make such an impact? And where did you start from?
Yeah, great. So I'm originally, my accent is South African, originally born and bred in South Africa. I did my studies in South Africa, and what you must know about me is that I'm actually one of 5 first-generation chiropractors, 5 first generation. So I married a chiropractor who I always joke is the only reason I got through chiropractic college. So we met at chiropractic college. We came across to the UK together. We did our board exams and we started on that journey. Now, my brother subsequently has become a chiropractor and he also married a chiropractor. So we have that's 4, and my sister-in-law is just qualifying as a chiropractor in South Africa. And we have another one qualifying as a chiropractor in South Africa. My other sister-in-law runs 4 of our offices. My mother-in-law runs our accounts. So I don't even know if you can get more, chiropractic involved. It's a family business. Everyone's involved. We see between 3,000 and 3,500 visits every single week. And now we help people across the planet grow their businesses. So in a nutshell, I guess we were looking for another challenge and doing something different. And when we moved to the UK, my wife's family is, my wife's mom is British, and my parents had immigrated to the UK beforehand. And I took the normal path. I went and worked as an associate. I learned a lot. And I always had a dream of opening multiple practices, and went into partnership with someone. And together we grew from 1 office to 8 offices in, a space of 3 to 4 years. And it's been a journey. and I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, made lots of mistakes, had lots of fun. And now we just take all those learnings, we teach it to everyone that joins my inner circle group and my mastermind group. So in the game, that's all I do all day, every day is I run practices and I coach associates and I coach practice owners. And I'm as all in as you can be when it comes to running practices, chiropractic, and it's really given me so much blessing. Everything from my family to all my financial rewards to my fulfillment rewards. So I'm so blessed to be a part of this profession.
I will tell you, the time I spent in teaching in the UK in Windsor. One, we love Windsor. But with you, it was inspirational. Some of the things I saw in just those few minutes there. So I've got to ask you this first question. When people do big things, and having a chiropractic office is a big thing in and of itself. Let's not belittle that. It's a huge thing. But when they step beyond those four walls and want to mentor others and want to help other people get set up in offices, there's a huge why, I feel. So what's your why for put so much energy into all of this?
It probably starts right back from the why of why we even opened up multiple practices in the first place. It really came from a place of, at the time, and things improved a lot, there weren't many options for associates coming out at good, like there's places to go work, but generally speaking, the standard of the practice wasn't that great, the mentorship wasn't that great, and that really was our why to start with. And I really, I always say I'll sleep well at night if I fulfill this one statement, and it is everybody leaves better. So that's really our thing. People come to join us. I always know I'm a stepping stone in your journey. You stay with me 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is for you, and you grow, and I will sleep well at night if you leave better. If you got exposed to people like yourself and amazing chiropractors all around the world and new techniques and philosophy and just growing as a person personally and growing in the profession. So that was, if you look at my why when it came from my bricks and mortar business, it kind of just filtered across into my other business, which was essentially an information business, and we help people grow their practices. I also, Les Brown has a great saying. He says, you teach the thing you most want to become. And the thing is, the teacher always learns the most. So I know that sounds like a funny thing to say at this point, but I know I'm just a happier person when I'm teaching. I had a call last night. I finished my inner circle coaching call last night. With the time difference here, I'm currently in South Africa on vacation, and my time difference was I finished at after midnight, so close to 1 o'clock. And I was, I've never jumped off a call. I always jump a call with more energy than I came onto the call with. And that really just says a little bit more for what lights my fire and helping people. And there is, selfishly, there's no better feeling in the world than helping someone achieve great things, grow bigger practices, help more people, and that's I just love doing that. Together with my team, then my support team becomes your support team when you join my inner circle group. So you got access to my team, and that's kind of my why. And what I love doing is helping people just grow bigger, better practices and lives, personally and professionally.
I love that. Everybody leaves better. That's phenomenal. And I might name that the podcast episode because it's so brilliant from a practice member standpoint and every team member for sure. So being that, how do you keep, some people have struggled organizing their life of just their one and then a team of two or three. How do you keep the organization or thrive that organizational strategy with so many balls in the air?
Okay, cool, great. So great question. It probably comes down to there is the difference between running a single site in any business, single site and then multi-site in any business is obviously with scale it comes a lot more complexity. The statistic is this, Dr. Dan. It is that when you go from 3 products, services, people, sites, whatever it is, to 4, you're only increasing the team by say 33%, but you're increasing the complexity by anywhere between 300 and 400%. So if you look at that across multiple sites, that's quite a challenge. And The thing that I probably the biggest piece of advice I can give someone right now that's looking to hold the context, it's a bit of a cliched saying. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not about the content, it's about the context, right? So when you're looking at holding the context or holding the space of 120 people, 8 offices, it really comes down to a couple things, but one of them being your core values so every great, and this is not me inventing the stuff. You can read books like Good to Great and Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness, and books like that where they did the analysis of the greatest businesses and organizations in the world. And one of the things they had in common was a set of core values. So core values are there to protect ourselves from ourselves and let everyone joining the team know what they're joining. Because what normally happens is you hire someone, then you go through the process of looking at why have you, these are the rules. Now it should be the other way around. The rules of engagement or the rules to play to join the team should be shown to people before they even join the team. So that's your core values. Now there's so many cool books you can read about that, but that's helped us tremendously hold the context, because statistics show it's really tough to hold the context above 100 and 150 people. So that's one aspect I would say. Running multi-site, multi-business, it doesn't matter, or multiple people in a business, it takes a certain level of structure. So there's when you talk about leadership, there's 5 kind of keys to leadership. One of them being able to delegate. Next one is be able to set structure. The next one is be able to set systems. Other ones are really helping the team simplify things. Okay, so those are some of the basics of leadership. So your job there is to move from when you're really looking at building a scalable business or something with even if it's one site, it's to move more from the operator, the doer of the thing, to the coach, leader, and mentor, and then the person that sets structure and simplifies and sets systems. So more on the business, a little bit more on the business than in the business, and that doesn't mean you ever stop adjusting. It just means you have to be more focused on working a bit more on the business.
Yes. Now, with that, in doing this, how many, at any given time, how many doctors do you probably have between those 8 clinics?
Okay, so we probably about 30 docs.
30. So, and you've done this for years. So you probably worked with how many doctors over the years?
It must be over 200 associates.
Right. So success leaves clues, as you know, and I know, as Tony Robbins says, as our friend Liam loves to quote, Liam Schubel. But if you've worked with over 200 doctors, I'm sure you've seen patterns of those that have been most successful and most impactful. What are some of those patterns that you've seen?
Cool. So great question. That's such a cool question, because even in my inner circle group, my DC Practice Growth Mastermind, we've got 100 and something docs on that page at the moment, and it's the same thing for them as it is for my associates. So I always say, here's the fundamentals of it. Is there are kind of 3 things. One is every great doc, every great business owner in some way, shape, or form has great energy. So number 1 is energy. Number 2 is certainty. And number 3 is empathy. So if I've been asked that question, that's funny, I've been asked that exact question a few times, and those, when I really thought about it, I was like, what does everyone have? It's those 3. It's energy, it's great energy, it's certainty, and everyone I know that's, and the basic, if you look at some of the core principles of being a great influencer, people can just tell when you're certain about something. And then the last one is empathy. Empathy, I truly believe, is our secret weapon in chiropractic. I really, really think so. Not sympathy, but empathy. So those 3, I'd say, if you had to push me for 3, it would be great docs have those.
Excellent. And I'm sure that there's things, this may be not asked as often, but I'm sure that there's times where in the first month or 90 days, this is not going to work out with this doctor. And what are the things that are telltale signs we're going in the wrong direction?
Okay, great. So
that's a hard one.
Yeah, it is, Okay, what are the telltale signs? Really, I guess I'm going to answer that a little bit different than you may think. What I would say is, if you're having a lot of that in your business, it's got to do with first, I've got a little saying that I teach is the problem's never the problem.
Nah.
The problem we think is never the problem, right? So if you're having a lot of that, for instance, if you're having a lot of people saying at your day 2, hey, I would need to go home and think about it. But everyone's like, oh, what do I need to do better on my report of findings? Well, the problem is never the problem. It starts way before that, right? Yeah. It's going, how did they find you? What is the process? How did you affect their behavior before they came in? What did you give them a welcome pack? Did you send them a great experience when they walked in the door? Did you do a proper day 1 that really identified key factors that's going to be the why they're really in the practice? So the problem is never the problem. Now, it's the same thing. If you're getting a lot of that within the 90 days, some of it you can't avoid, but it comes down to the first part of this interview we did was, it's got to, who are you letting into your cup? So the point of your core values, by cup I mean your culture, your core values need to do 2 things. When someone reads that core values in that first interview you have, they've got to do one of 2 things. Some of them to read those core values, because that's you being unapologetically yourself, and you want them to run away. If they see those core values and they're like, whoa, this is definitely not the place for me, just based on the core values. And I'll tell a story in a moment. Or what often happens is they read the core values and they go, wow, this is really, really interesting. We've got 8. And we've got very interesting, I haven't seen too many places that have this, and I really like the sound of this. Things like we over-communicate, things like we play at 100%, things like we always pursue growth and learning. Those are some of our core values. We've got 8 of them. Now that's, if you're getting a lot of that, your core values are maybe not like quite, you want them to divide, if you will, a little bit. So people know very, very quickly what you're all about. So that's really the point. And one of the stories I'll tell you is one of our core values is we always serve with high energy. You know what I said? So we're all about energy, right? And I had someone in an interview read that and go, my greatest question I can always ask after they read your core values is any thoughts, fears, or concerns, and let them talk. And one of the things that someone said to me, they very openly and to their credit said, honestly, I don't have great energy. And my next question was, so what do you think we do next? And she said, well, I guess this is not the right place for me. And I went, yep, I guess you're right. And that was the end of the interview. So the reason I tell people that story is that's the point of core values, is to avoid even the 90-day upset. Let's get it out the way before, but you can't always avoid that. But I'll answer then your question as best I can. So the first part is that. Then for me, it's always like in the beginning of a relationship, and that becomes personal relationships as well as business relationships. People are always normally willing to do more. Think about your romantic relationships. Even people are normally willing to do more to invest in the relationship in the beginning of the relationship. So let's say someone said like, oh, I don't really want to show up to that event or screening or whatever it is in the first 90 days. You know that behavior is only going to get even worse over time, because the best you've got is the first 90 days most of the time. Most people are willing to invest way more in the first 90 days. So if there's any telltale signs of not what I call the secret to success is showing up, I believe you put a post on that recently, and I couldn't agree with you more. So the number one thing is if someone doesn't show up to something in the first 90 days, then that's normally it's only going to get worse from there. Yeah. So that's the number one sign for me. It's like if you don't show up to something in the first 90 days, we're in trouble, because it's only going to get worse.
Yep. My friend Dr. Joe Borio said to me that the new broom always sweeps the best. So like if they're not sweeping well when they're new, it's only going to get worse. Right?
Totally. Everyone invests more in the beginning of a relationship. So if there's question marks there, then we've got a challenge.
Then we got to check. Right. Exactly. Oh, this is so brilliant and so helpful. So, how with all these different doctors who also then are also producing they're doing different techniques, different education, or you might want to, how do you, they different schools they went to learn chiropractic different. How do you bring that unified way so you present to the public in a systemized way a certain message and a certain experience?
Such a great question, and this is one of the reasons that if you look at the chiropractic profession, not too many people have scaled it because it is such a unique little industry. Because, I mean, how many techniques are there, Dr. Dan? I mean, there must be alone hundreds, like that alone. So it's hard to give you, it's hard to cookie cutter it.
Right. And doctors are also unique, and doctors are also, so we're so individualists as chiropractors.
Totally. So I am going to answer that in twofold. There's a fantastic book that should be a required reading for every human being in business, and it's called Tribal Leadership. And tribal leadership talks a little bit about how you base teams, or you can see what phase you're in by the language of the team. A phase 1 team or gang, maybe people hanging out in the streets, and they may say things something like life is shit or life is terrible. Excuse my language, but that's kind of the language of the team. Phase 2 team might say something like, my life is terrible, or my life sucks, you know? And this is often like corporate America or corporate Britain, like, you know, the big 9 to 5 corporate world where you get that water cooler talk and everyone like, the company sucks, my boss sucks, everyone sucks, this sucks, you know? So that's phase 2. Phase 3 team is a team that has a lot of people in it that say, I am great. Now, in the book, they talk a lot about this is like a lot of subcontractors, dentists, doctors, chiropractors, the type of team. Now, the phase 3 team can be very successful, but often at the expense of the culture, right? So phase 4 team is a team that says, we are great. And a phase 5 team is a team that says, life is great. Now, we are very, we sit a lot in the I am great, and we have moments where we teeter up to the we are great. So for me, one of the ways that we've been able to unify the team, if we can all look in the same direction with certain goals, fun goals, like whether it's targets to hit, etc., and then we have like prizes and things like that around that. Like for instance, we sent 60 of our team to Ibiza paid for flights and accommodation. So that was just like a fun thing we did where everyone hit certain targets, and it got our docs, our CAs, our marketing team all in the same, we're looking in the same direction. So that was one. So multiple of those looking in the same direction. And then we get together, we think I really feel it in the team, if we go more than 90 days without getting together, like as a conference. So we do like breakthrough events and conferences. We get together, what they call a meeting pulse. And if you're not doing meetings in your practice right now, it's a practice right now, you leave a lot on the table. But a typical meeting pulse is weekly meetings, a quarterly off-site, they call it, out of the practice, away from everything, you know, everything away, working on the business, and then an annual 2-day. That's like a typical meeting pulse. And then every quarter you should be doing a one-on-one with each team member, and then got your core values. So if we just really drill home our core values, and I've said this many times in this interview today, but I can't overemphasize it, is that's the thing that keeps us together, is those core values and drilling them home, and then getting together and having what they call, there's 2 elements to growth in this aspect, or in this context. One is BD, which is business development, and the other one is PD, personal development or philosophical development with chiropractic. So personal development, I like the word, it's P, so it's personal development and philosophical development. So those PD and BD are both important. And what a lot of business coaches will do, they'll work a lot on your BD, but they'll forget about PD. Now, PD, personal development, is your business. One of the best things I've ever heard is right now your practice in some way, shape, or form resembles you as the owner or leader.
Right.
Now that's good and bad news. The good news is sometimes there's going to be some great parts of the practice, and the bad news is you're going to be there certain elements of the practice. You're going to be like, oh my word, that like it's always our fault, right? In the nicest way possible, it's always our fault. Like our practice is a direct image or mirror of us. So one of the greatest sayings I heard is there's no such thing as business problems. Only personal problems disguised as business problems.
Yep.
So I think I was saying, no such thing as business problems, only personal problems disguised as business problems. So if we work on ourselves, that's where we clean up our business a lot of the time.
Yes. And you know, what's in your mind just comes out into what your space looks like, what your office looks like, what people you attract, how your people behave. It all is a reflection of what you have inside. And you know, that's the thing I know I struggled with this in practice, and you've probably seen this, where I thought, just tell me the secret script. Just tell me what it is that you say at the screening that's magical, and that's going to do it. And then I said it the way you wanted me to say it, and it didn't do it, right? And then you realize that, wow, and people would say it's not that, it's mind space, it's mindset, it's mindset and heart set, I call it, and what's your space, where are you coming from, and what spirit do you have when you're doing the screening? And I used to think that was just a bunch of hooey, but I know it's so more important than the magic script that's there in the 10 pages that thought was going to save your practice.
I mean, if it was the magic, if there was a magic script out there, do you not think we would have found it by now? Because there surely isn't a shortage of people trying to sell you scripts.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. There's no shortage of that. So the fact that we haven't found it yet, and actually, it's so funny. I'm a fan of scripting.
Oh, I am too.
But it's not the golden. Like there is no golden nuggets. I guess that's what we're getting to. Right. There's no a silver bullet rather. There's no one thing that's going to do it for you. And it's so important. And I know you have a mastermind inner circle group. And here's the thing. I have a mastermind inner circle group that I work with specifically with marketing and helping them grow their business. And you have to understand this. Human beings are predictably irrational. Meaning human beings procrastinate. That's what we do. We like whether it's most people hand in a project within 24 hours of the project being due, not a week before it's due. We'll often procrastinate towards the end date. So there's certain aspects about you are studies now. The cliche saying you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with. Quite literally, studies show it turns out, as a matter of fact, it's between 5 and 8 people that you hang around with. So that's why I would say your circle of influence, the people you hang around with, your inner circle group, that to be a part of one of your inner circle groups or someone's inner circle group. I always say, I don't care if it's not mine, but you better be a part of a mastermind.
Yes, absolutely.
You with me?
Yeah,
because
100%.
Left to our own devices, we're just not great at implementing.
And then if you look around at the people that you have as your mastermind that you have not chosen as a mastermind, but they're the 5 people that you spend most time with and most text and most Facebook message and most follow, that's your mastermind, and you chose it by default by how close they were to you, right? By proximity to you rather than by design. There's an expense to that.
So, totally. And look, I am jumping on this call with you today as the leader of one of my masterminds, but I want to tell you this, is that I'm no different from the people in my mastermind. Left to my own devices, I also suck. So I've got to have masterminds, and I've got to make sure that I'm spending around time with people that lift me up and are better than me and hold me accountable. So I've got my own, like someone once taught me this, a coach without a coach is not a coach. So I've got my own coaches. I've got my own masterminds. I got my own thing. So it's this human nature. We left to our own device. We literally just don't implement like we should. So anyway, I think you feel my passion there.
A point I learned from Ben Lerner of Maximize Living at some point is like, if I were to be eating just for me, just eating from my own devices, I'd be eating ice cream. I'd be staying up late to the late show, stay up till 2 a.m. if I had no kind of other accountability. If I was just eating for and choosing how to live my life, I wouldn't exercise, I wouldn't do anything, because I just, be living for me. But when I'm living for others, when I want to give to others, when you become a parent, when you have a family, like all of that changes, because I'm not eating for me, I'm eating for how I have to take care of myself or my kids, right? And same thing with your practice. It's like you've got to take care of your mindset and your headspace because of what you want to feed into your patients and what you want to feed into your team, right?
I can't even, there's nothing I can add to that. You said it perfectly. No, honestly, like left to our own device, I'd be sitting on the couch if I didn't have a family to look after, if I didn't have I love the fact that I've got so much accountability. I've got 2 people responsible in my business that are reliant on me for an income, and my family and my inner circle group. Right. So I couldn't have said it better, but left to my own devices, I'll be a fat slob sitting on the couch.
Exactly. That's what I'd be. That exactly all of us would be, right? But and that's why your mentors and your mastermind, hold you accountable, and they'll get you do things. So appreciate all that you share. Can you tell us some more about DC Practice Growth? Okay, and tell us about your inner circle.
Yeah, awesome. So we are so the basics of it is most people start a relationship with me based on we help them with. We have a program called New Patient Avalanche. Dr. Dan, you've actually been through New Patient Avalanche and seen videos and all that. So it's been awesome. It's a 6 to 7 week program that we take people through, and we've got docs. I'm on weeks. I did week 6 last night. We've had docs get over 100 leads before 6 weeks is up. Within the first 6 weeks of the program, over 50 new patients to 100 new patients within 6 to 7 weeks. So that's normally when people start a relationship with me, and we take them through what I call my New Patient Avalanche program, which is like the four key elements of marketing in my business. So I just teach you what I did in my business. And we generated over 10,000 new patients last year alone. We have marketing campaigns. We have 9-10% response from email campaigns. We do many launches, and we do Facebook. And just from Facebook alone, we spend $100,000 to $150,000 a year on Facebook. So I don't know anyone who's and I always say Facebook is just an element of your business, but you should know how to do it. It's not the only thing. But if you rely solely on that, you're in trouble. So we teach old school marketing, new school marketing. That's normally how someone starts a relationship with me. A program called New Patient Avalanche. We've got 50 docs from around the world. That's my limit. I take on at one go. And doing it at the moment. And part of that, we actually help you with a Facebook ad to hold your hand. And then a lot of docs will stand on me and join my inner circle group. It's kind of a prerequisite to do New Patient Avalanche first. And the whole idea is I'm not an agency. I don't do the marketing for you. I believe in teaching a man to fish, and he feeds himself for a lifetime. That's not my thing. We're not an agency, but we help them normally with that first. So I've got a website called dcpracticegrowth.com and also newpatientavalanche.com. You can go check either of those out. In April, we've got a full class at the moment. It's sold out. We're going to have a new class somewhere around April, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested in joining our New Patient Avalanche class in April.
I have to tell people, I follow Ryan Rieder. I follow your posts. I follow your information. I follow who puts out. I've done his New Patient Avalanche because I want to help our team do what he has done in his office. And I know how many new patients he puts into those 8 offices. When that New Patient Avalanche launch comes out, you want to be part of that because it is gold. And I know that you'll be bringing some of that to Mile High. And let's touch on that. What are you excited about bringing to Mile High?
Yeah, I think the unique element that if you look at practices and moving from kind of there's 4 elements. Some will start. You got the startup phase, but it's all in your energy and where you are and what you're doing. Next phase is you become more of an operator. You're still more working in the business. And a lot of that, if you will, the false belief that holds you back there is the harder you work, the belief is the harder I work, the more I do, the more I make. The next phase really is getting doctors really across to more of an operator. You're an operator in your business. You're a business owner. So from operator to business owner. And really there, it's more about becoming the coach, the leader, and working on culture in your business. And that whether you're adjusting full time or maybe it's more congruent for you to spend a little bit less time adjusting and working on the business. But that is often what I'm going to bring to the party at Mile High is talk about how you bring in marketing elements that are repeatable, reproducible, and what I like to call slow, reproducible production of new patients, because everyone's like, oh, there's sexy campaigns. That's great, but how do you have a constant flow always coming into practice? And you have to have multiple forms of new patients. So I'm going to be getting elements of that, and also how you can move along that if you will, that ladder of success where not everything's about you working hard. It becomes, I know with my docs, the truth of the matter is, the less my docs do that I coach, the more they'll see, the more people they'll help. You understand? But you need a team around you so that you can do less.
Yes.
And by less, I mean, you need to be like almost always, if I can help a doc, just do the thing that they're good, the adjusting, the service, the getting in front of people. But you need to be good at the leadership and the creating systems and structure in your business so that you can uplift your team to give you freedom. So that's what I'm talking about at Mile High. How do you get freedom and not out of the business? Not you. Freedom does not mean getting out of the business, not adjusting. Freedom means just adjusting so that you can have freedom. I mean, how many of our docs really want to be sitting on Facebook all day doing an ad? They don't want to do that. Right. They want to be serving.
Yeah. So you want to, the calling to be a chiropractor is such, I think it's a divine calling and such an incredible calling of service. And you should aspire and live a life of freedom and abundance worthy of that calling, right?
Got it.
And it's vital. So I've got to ask you one more question before we end the podcast, which is this, and it's a really important one because we're doing a James Bond theme this year. I don't know if you knew that. It's Mile High 7, so it's the James Bond theme. So I've got to ask you, who is your favorite James Bond?
Well, do you know, at one point they were talking about Idris Elba becoming the next James Bond. I was a big fan of Idris Elba. So he's not a James Bond yet, and this might be a controversial answer, but I was super excited about him coming on. But if you had to push me, I would say, is it Connery? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought he's suave, and I don't know if anyone could match that accent, that alone.
Yeah, there you go. So, very important question. We have to know who everybody's favorite James Bond, their favorite movie, and their favorite car. You know, it's a vital part of this program. So we look forward to seeing everybody at Mile High. I certainly hope people took notes. Watch for Ryan's new Patient Avalanche. Check out DC Practice Growth. Follow it. I learned so much just following his posts and information. And also make sure you catch up with him at Mile High. I will tell you, he's the kind of person that he just loved you to come up to him at the program, ask me for questions, have conversations. And we want to welcome him from overseas over at our altitude. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, use the podcast code MHPodcast, and you can use that to save $50 off registration. www.riseuptomilehigh.com. And August 15th to 18th, 2019, we look forward to seeing you there, and keep changing spines and lives with chiropractic. Like our page on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Mile High Chiro.